Okay, hi. I'm gonna have to do this one a bit hands-on because don't want to mess with my setup over here. I'm currently converting over the big bad Beetleborgs, from the '90s. Anyway, I'm converting over the Shadowborg thing onto disk. So yeah, so while that's going on over there, I have to deal with this here. I mean, I could put it down, but I have like stuff over there and stuff. I just don't have to keep moving it. Anyway, this little video is another little rant of, well, of a couple of movies and possibly a third thing if I could remember it again. But basically, how there was um, a movie I remembered, a couple of movies I remembered. One was about I only saw the beginning because it was because we got cable, and throughout the '80s and '90s, I would see parts of movies, so I would remember seeing things like a movie I just got recently on VHS called Without a Clue, and I remember seeing it once as a child for this one scene, this like 1 second of acting, and that's it. I completely forgot about it until I saw that one movie. It's like, oh, this is that scene that I've completely forgot about from this movie. Oh, okay. So there's tons of stuff back there that I saw whole movies or parts of, and I completely forgot about, and I have no idea what the titles of these things are because I didn't know what they were. Remember, this is in the '90s. If you didn't catch the title card or the title card for a commercial, which they didn't always have, you were lost. You didn't know what this movie was. And so one movie that I saw the beginning of, I don't think I saw the ending to, was about because it reminded me of another film that I have seen and have is called Follow That Bird, which is the Sesame Street movie about a misguided uh, child welfare agent, I guess would be the title. She wants to put, she's another Big Bird herself. She wants to put Big Bird into an actual Big Bird um, foster family, and because she believes that that's where he'll be the most happiest, is with his own kind. So she kind of talks him into this, and he's like, "Well, this would be an interesting idea." And sorry if I keep changing colors on you. This thing's trying to white balance or whatever because of my shirt. Well, undershirt, muscle shirt thing. I don't know what they call them, wife beaters. I don't know, but yeah, because it's too bright and it starts to try to color bounce. Anyway, so Big Bird. So the concept of the movie is that Big Bird gets kind of conned a little bit into going to visit with the Dodos. The Dodos are complete morons, and interestingly enough, the two children are named Donnie and Marie, and they're not very imaginative either. So if you think, well, they're like the Sesame Street characters, they're not very smart either. Is that the Sesame Street characters actually have imagination? These two characters don't. They says, "Why don't we pretend?" Says, "Okay, I'll pretend I'm Donnie, and I'll pretend I'm Marie." And it's like, so you're pretending to be yourselves. Yeah. So Big Bird says, "Okay, this ain't working out. I'm out of here. I'm just gonna walk back to Sesame Street." And ensue and thus epic road trip ensues. Now, I was reminded of a film more recently about this beginning hour of a film that I saw sometime in the middle of the night on a weekend, I guess, on cable. Don't know what it's called, but it's about a little African American boy. And when he was an infant, his drug obsessed mother apparently was so confused that she put him in the garbage can out in the back alley. And the garbage man's there to pick up the trash. And they put the baby into the back of the garbage bin, not realizing it was there. And just as the back end of it was about to close, about to close. They hear the baby, and he's like, "Stop!" And the mother at the time was waking up during the middle of all this, saying, kind of in a belligerent state, saying, "Where's my," like wondering, "Where's my baby?" Like searching all around, "Where's my baby? Where's my baby?" So because of that, the baby was put up to foster care and was adopted by, or taken care of by, a white lady. Remember, tail end of the 90s here, people. And so the kid grew up for the first 2 to 3 years or something like that with this woman. And then there was this big debate about the adoption agency saying, well, the child should be raised by an African American family or person or people, or at least in a community that has, black people in it, in order for him to identify with his race. And it's like, and her rebuttal or whatever, her reply to that, as well as mine at the time, was, he's 4. He could. The nearest thing he could possibly relate to, if at all, would be Big Bird. I mean, he's 4. What 4-year-old identifies with their race at age 4? So it gets kind of silly and stupid saying that this is what's necessary for a child's healthy development, is to be put with his own kind, or at least something in regards of, needing to be around its own race to identify with it. Like, it's just so pivotal. If I'm remembering this correctly, it's just as silly as it sounds. So, excuse me, just had some Whoppers on the way in. So the boy, when he gets taken away from his mother to go and live with this other family in this essentially a black or blackish community that's so necessary, the kid's kind of looking around, kind of a bit wide-eyed. It's like, whoa, there's that person who is... He's noticing the fact, or is aware enough that these are different colored people. So he's kind of wide-eyed and kind of looks and turns his head at each one as he's passing them in the hallways, because they're going through the apartment or dormitory or whatever. I don't know what it was exactly, but to their place of residence in this building. So he's looking at all these people, and then later on, she wakes up in the middle of the night, finds he's not in his bed or with her or whatever, and she finds him asleep in the bathtub, as he's kind of just not really adapting well to his sudden placement of his natural surroundings. It doesn't matter if it's their race. The thing is that you suddenly had a severe gear shift in this child's life. You could do that with anybody, with about anything, of a sudden drastic life change. They're not going to take it very well. They'll adapt to a certain degree, but they're not going to just take it like that, and expect him to just embrace it because it's his people, If he's not used to a different caretaker and environment, yeah, he's going to feel alienated just on the fact that it's just not the norm of his everyday. And I wish I would have seen that movie to the end, but for whatever reason, maybe I fell asleep. I don't know. But that was an interesting concept, that it can also feel like it also happened. Strange, not contrast, but similarities to other films that I've seen. Of other people thinking what is best for... well, it's hard to really classify Big Bird as a child, per se, but for the sake of argument, let's go childlike wonder characters. So, yes, it's rather a bit interesting. Okay, now, different topic, but similar concept. There was a movie I saw. I saw the first half of, again, I only saw the beginnings of these films. But there was a movie, I saw the trailer for it, I believe. But what it was, it's like Born in Vietnam, I guess basically would be the bestest way to baseline this, to start this off with. How there's this radio DJ, he's in this small southern town, It's very boring. They're very kind of the football team's kind of down on its luck if they have it at all. I'm not entirely sure if they do have it or not, but the college or high school radio DJ is just feels like he's telling the same old boring news. Even though it's different, it's like it's boring. There's nothing really new here or exciting, and he feels like I'm not really doing my job right. I'm not entertaining people. I'm just talking to them, not giving them something to be interested in. So, like, one day on a lark, he decides to just say, and on to the game, or something like that. He starts inventing this game, which apparently is the beginning of fantasy football. And thus, fantasy football is created, or is invented. And he just starts going through this thing of just talking excitingly and talking about this fantasy football game in his head. And he kind of just does the whole thing. He does it, and everyone's listening to him in the town saying, hey, that's pretty good, even though they know it's a fake game because they would know if there was a game on. Sorry if I'm not looking at it. I'm trying to hold this thing out without. Maybe that's better. Stop looking at my thumb. I keep looking at my thumb. No, look here. That's where I need to look. Okay, sorry. So, he starts doing this, and everyone starts being a bit happy because they are having something in their lives that's exciting, even though it is fictional. And he does this apparently one too many times with one too many real places, i.e., the next town over or whatever. They hear about this fictional game and they're unaware of the fact that it's a fictional game. They know it's just a lie, not something for entertainment. But they got creamed, so they came over and said, we heard about your fantasy game, this pretend game, and we are rather offended that you just did that, about us, that we failed. So we would like to, I guess, this is right about on the part where it starts to get a little fuzzy because I fell asleep or whatever, or was told to go to bed, I don't know. But it was at this point where they were neither challenged by the other team or they had to go to court. I don't remember. But I do remember was the fact that it was fiction designed to entertain, and everyone was supposed to believe or supposed to automatically know that it's fiction. It's just entertainment. It's not real. And then comes in some 50 years later in our world where all of a sudden we have fake news and Fox and Friends. And they do it because for reasons, whatever those are. But they believe people feel, yeah, let's just fill the world with fake news, because they want to punk somebody, or they want the likes, or maybe they're misguided. I don't know. But that's the thing, is that even in our world, we have people entertaining us with lies or unbeknownst lies. They think it's the truth and they're telling us this. In reality, it's a lie. So unintentional lies or whatever. But that's the thing. It's all put into the thing to entertain, to get our attention. This little contrast between reality and the movies, reality and fiction, which is again also a thing on reality and fiction. So hopefully I'll find those movies in the future. I found almost everything else. I found a lot of them when I actually started to look. When I have my adulthood and was able to, find stuff, go to video stores and buy stuff for my own. I lost so much. And gained a bit, too. But, so yeah. I can't remember what the first thing was, for sure. sorry if this wasn't really entertaining stories, but just some interesting concepts of stories that were, well, thought-provoking. They weren't the usual norm, per se. They were, stories to make you think a little bit, not just to regurgitate the same old, same old. Oh, right, that's it. Third thing. Um, Goody Goody. Goody Goody seasons 2 and 3. Okay, the reason why season 2 is not as razzle dazzle or more detailed. Of course, when you find like the plot and animation lacking, is because the first Goody Goody was an OVA. Season 2 and 3 were direct to, well, OVA means direct to video, pretty much. Season 2 and 3 are direct to television. That's the thing. It's a television format, not an OVA format. So, which means the production value is not going to be that high. The words I don't like we needed to. They're too much in TV mode to really do that, because no one really makes OVAs anymore. They're more of the bonus nude episodes or what if episodes, where we can finally go there episode at the end of TV series. That's it. That's what OVAs were relegated to. As I said in the previous video. Also not good footage. Yeah, that's the thing. So it made up too much on the format of TV. It takes forever for anything to really happen. That's why in every episode something actually happens that's dramatic and it's intense. It had its own little mini story conclusion. And the new series is now season 2 and 3. I'm guessing it's not as up to par. I'm pretty sure it has some stuff, some of that's in there still, but I don't think it's as good as the first season. That's the problem. Fans are not really taking it like, this is awesome. I think, well, that was okay. And I think I saw the ending and was rather, I don't know, maybe it would feel a lot more resolute if I saw the whole thing. But those are my thoughts. And excuse me, I gotta go see the what